Good evening. All right. So, good evening and welcome to Essential Perspectives, where we will have a new clarity of essential oils and the amazing, powerful, harmonious experience it is to use them. I'm Heather Portwood, your guest, and tonight let's go ahead and get started. So, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how positive thinking can help you heal. And this has been a part of my personal journey with using essential oils. So I did go ahead. I did go ahead. If you're on chat, if you have any questions, you can post those there. Or I also posted some scriptures for positive thinking, and also a book that we're going to talk about in a little bit. If you hear any people, there's some little people out there, but that's okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to be reading a lot. Well, not a whole lot, but I just wanted to go over some main topics and I don't want to forget them. So we're going to talk first about how you can heal, like when you're dealing with positive thinking and what that can look like. So healing from a broken heart. A lot of us may have experienced something like that similar, whether it's been, a hard breakup or a death, something like that that's just really intense. This may occur. The extreme emotional stress can lead to stress cardiomyopathy, is what that's called, which triggers symptoms that are very similar to those of a typical heart attack, including chest pain, shortness of breath, low blood pressure, and even congestive heart failure. So in most cases, a typical heart attack occurs due to blockages. So we're familiar with that, and also coronary arteries that stop the blood flow. And that can cause heart cells to die and leading to irreversible damage in some cases. But most people with a broken heart syndrome often have normal arteries. They don't have any significant blockages also. So the symptoms occur due to the emotional stress. That's where those symptoms come from. And you're probably thinking of a couple of different, Christian, my feed is stopping, and I'm not sure if that's just what I'm watching or on my video too. So hold on just a second. Okay, maybe it's my Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. Kind of threw me off. Wanted to make sure I was still recording. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were watching. I couldn't tell if something was wrong with my feed. Okay. So let's get back to this. So with the emotional stress, the symptoms occur to the emotional stress. So when the stress begins to die down, your heart is able to recover. And in this case, your mind once again can play a powerful role in helping your broken heart to recover. I did write down and go through, I did a lot of studying on this earlier this year because my husband had a heart attack, and a physical heart attack. And so I dealt with a lot of emotional trauma with that, and a lot of things with my thinking. I really struggled with trying to get out of that pattern of kind of freak out mode all the time. So these are some things that you can do to help. Deal with your feelings head on. You may be tempted to run from your pain or hide from it. A better option is to face your feelings, accept them, and feel them, and only then will you be able to move past them. One thing that has been really beneficial that I learned from Gary Young a couple of years ago at convention. He was discussing about the people who would go to, if you're not familiar with the clinic in Ecuador, we have a clinic there where lots of people can go. I've been once. Anyway, when he would take on clients and patients, he would make them use a spiral notebook, and like one notebook, he would have them write all these positive emotions and feelings that they had. And then in another notebook, they would have to write all the negative emotions that they had or feelings that they had. And he was very, very adamant about explaining the fact that a lot of times people can do all the right things as far as what we think of health, but neglect their emotions. And sometimes the emotions are just as rough in the healing process as the physical ailments themselves. So another thing is letting go of guilt. So if you've made mistakes in your past relationships, you can say apologize if they're necessary, then let go of the guilt and move on. The AFT technique, if you are not familiar with that, and I wrote the link of where you can get this book in the chat area, Aroma Freedom Technique is a really amazing technique that you can do by yourself. It just basically uses essential oils because if you haven't watched the other shows that we've done last week or the week before going over emotions specifically, smell really does help and it affects our emotions. And so this is a really simple technique that I have found very, very helpful. And like step 1, set your intentions, and then it gives examples. Step 2, listen for objections. If you have any negative thoughts that come in whenever you're talking about your intention. Step 3, identifying feelings. Step 4, body awareness. Step 5, time travel, which is basically drifting when you're going into and thinking of an earlier time in life or something recently. It just kind of walks you through exercises to do, and it's very, very, very helpful. And actually, I've been doing this with my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old, and they respond to it as well. So I highly suggest that. Give yourself some grace and be easy with yourself. Understand that going through something difficult or hard loss is hard. Allow yourself to fully experience all the emotions that come along with it, and don't judge yourself when you need extra time to process them. I know I grew up very much so. I'm a stuffer, so I stuff my emotions. I typically don't talk about a whole lot. I've gotten a whole lot better, but used to, and definitely growing up, I was so just, made myself so isolated and wouldn't talk much to people or my parents, or even when I went to counseling, I didn't want to talk about it. I just stuffed things. And so just giving yourself grace and extra time, as much time as you need to process these emotions that you are dealing with. And choose a positive mindset. That is what this whole thing is about. Remaining negative won't help you in the long run. Make a choice each day to look on the bright side and be open to positive new beginnings. And one thing that, another thing that's been helpful with me, and we've talked about this a lot if you're in our Facebook groups, is just gratitude. And we have that oil, which is amazing, and having a journal where you just kind of list things that you're thankful for or you're grateful for. It really, really helps to shift that pattern of negative thinking. If you kind of just think about the fact that if you have been somebody who has struggled with negative thinking, just imagine how many times that pathway has gone through in your brain, like over and over and over and over. And my personal thing has been like self-worth, insecurities, all those types of negative thought processes. And so once you start to retrain your thoughts, it really does happen pretty quickly. Like, not overnight. I mean, I don't think it took me a week. I'm a lot better at it now than I have been in my entire life, but just recognizing things. And so it helps you to kind of retrain your brain. When your broken heart begins to mend, you can help yourself to further feel better by focusing on some positive thoughts or positive habits. And we're going to go over a few of those that have been helpful for me. Oils. So I'm going to give you a list of my favorite oils that I have been beneficial and helpful to me with positive thinking. Believe, magnify your purpose, live with passion, motivation, and hope. Those are the oils that have helped me tremendously, and I like to apply them behind my ears and then on my neck and on my wrists, on the inside of my wrists as well. And then, of course, make sure that you're always, after you're applying them, you're giving yourself a little bit of space and time just to sit there and reflect and just inhale and smell. So a couple of other things that can be really helpful, surrounding yourself with positive people. And I know that our group, our Facebook group, all these oil people that you have come in contact with are probably more than likely some of the most positive people that you might ever come in contact with. Every now and again we have a, negative Nancy, sour Sally, but for the most part, you're in good company with surrounding yourself with positive people. Getting in touch with your spiritual side, that can look like a bunch of different things for different people. A lot of people like to go in nature. We've kind of started a little tradition where every couple of months we'll go somewhere, we'll take a little trip and stay in a Airbnb, and it's usually or some place that they're renting their house or something, and it's usually out in the woods, and it's been great for us and our kids. So meditation and prayer are also great. Opening yourself up to starting new relationships, if that is something that was part of the heartbreak or part of maybe a pattern of negative thinking. Breaking harmful patterns, if you recognize the patterns that you're in, sometimes people will get in that cycle of repeating the same patterns over and over and over and over again. That's why a lot of people get in bad relationships or relationships that aren't necessarily positive ones, because they're so used to that pattern. So if you can break that pattern, then you can tend to date new people or date the same type of person that is not right for you if you recognize the pattern. Dating is just an example. Focus on your ambitions and goals. That's another huge thing, is negative thinking can tend to get you in a cycle of not looking forward to the future, or that's been my experience personally, is not being able to look to the future and be excited about it. Forgive yourself and others. So using forgiveness oil is a great oil to use. One of my must-haves for sure. And let's see, continue to going to the places that you love, even if they remind you of negative things. Like if it's something that you love to do, continue doing that and try to change those negative thoughts that you have about that place that's special to you. Or do something completely for yourself or by yourself. That's, if you're anything like a mom or any of us, some working 9 to 5, we're around people all the time. I have 6 children. I homeschool. I'm around people all the time. Like, it's important to try to get a space where it's just you, just by yourself. So let's go. This is another area for me that has been part of my awareness and things that I have known that I really need to work on is uncontrolled anger. And so if you're in, again, if you are in the any of the leadership groups on Facebook or in our Facebook group, we talk about the different personality colors. We have the green, which is a sapphire, green, emerald, blue, sapphire, red, ruby, a yellow, pearl. So that's the gems and the colors. And my personality is the yellow pearl, which again goes along with the stuffing of emotions. And I tend to blow up because I stuff and stuff and stuff, and I don't deal with it, then it just comes out like a demonic, force where it's just like, bleh! So that's something that I have really tried to on purposely work on. And I know my husband can attest to it that I am a ton better because I try to work on those negative emotions and I don't explode all over everyone in all the places. But anger is a universal emotion felt across all ages, genders, and cultures. It's not necessarily bad, but anger prepares your body to fight off a threat. So that's what's happening when you feel that emotion, which can be life-saving in the appropriate circumstances. However, if anger isn't managed and expressed properly, it can lead to serious consequences to your health, relationships, and work, and more. So letting your anger out explosively may be harmful because it triggers surges in stress and hormones, and it actually injures blood vessel linings. Did you know that? Because I didn't. I did not know that anger, that an emotion could injure your blood vessels. So one study from Washington State University found that people over the age of 50 who express their anger by lashing out are more likely to have calcium, are more likely to have calcium deposits in their coronary arteries, and an indication that you're at high risk for a heart attack. That versus people who are more mellow, more laid back, more relaxed. Hey, Rachel. I know, it's crazy. So a systematic review involving data on 5,000 heart attacks, 800 strokes, and 300 cases of arrhythmia also revealed that anger increases your risk of heart attack and arrhythmia and stroke. Good times. So, and the risk increases with frequent anger episodes. So how do you know if your anger is crossing the line in terms of your health? I mean, this is just so eye-opening. Like, you better learn to let it go, Jamae says. That's for dadgum sure. Let it go. So if you begin to notice that you're on the edge quite a lot, do things that you later regret, or are often quick to react instead of respond, and that you have people in your life who have told you that you tend to get angry, that might be helpful to do something about it. And I'm going to go over a couple of tips that I had researched a while ago and actually really helped as well. Along with, guys, when you're using oils for emotions, it's not like a dab here and a dab here. Like I have to use them a lot and very frequently. So use it. If it doesn't help, use it again. If it doesn't help, use it again or try something else. That's my scenario. So use it, doesn't help, use it, doesn't help, try something different. In a different area or on your feet, or stick it in the diffuser and then smell the diffuser. So anger management can take on many forms, including cognitive behavior therapy. So there's therapy, which I have been in therapy on and off my entire life. So it's very, very beneficial. When I'm struggling, I know that's something I need to plug into. And I have let go of all of the negative things or connotations or ideas that I had about therapy in the past, because it's helpful. It's very helpful. So to manage anger that comes along with everyday life, you can also try a couple of other tips. So identifying your anger triggers. So what are your anger triggers? I'm a little bit OCD, a little bit. And so for me, my triggers are when things are out of order, which is very difficult. Which is difficult having 6 kids at home. It has been challenging for me because I do great some days, other days it's more of a challenge, but that's my main trigger. When stuff is out of order, I kind of panic and I get very frustrated with that. So if you know what your triggers are, it's helpful. So notice the physical warning signs of anger: your shoulders getting tight, increased heart rate, hot face, those types of things. That is going to be your warning sign that, we've talked about like prevention for like colds and stuff, like when to recognize the signs where like you need to be, help supporting your immune system. It's the same thing with emotions. Like those are your warning signs, like alert, I need to be applied, like apply your oils. Engage in anger management strategy that works for you. There's things like breathing, changing your environment, relaxation, and then, the AFT is also extremely helpful. Practice your anger management strategies. So it's just like, Janae, I don't think I could, people are something else. I have a lot of compassion for people, but it's a lot, especially if they're negative people. So practicing, the book. Rachel, I put it up in the top. If you scroll up in the chat, I put it up there from Amazon. It's called the Aroma Freedom Technique. And it is amazing. So it uses oils. It gives you steps. They are mean. People are mean sometimes. So it gives you steps and oils to use, to apply. It's phenomenal. So, and also practicing your anger management things. Like this is not something where you're just going to start, or whatever your emotion is or your negative thinking. Like you have to practice. It's like recognize it and then immediately change it. Or I don't know if you're anything like me, if I don't catch that negative cycle starting, before I know it, it's been 30 minutes or an hour and I've already played all these scenarios in my mind, which are not probably positive. So it's like another muscle we need to work. If you do have a short fuse, that goes back to the root. So short fuses, this is really helpful. I'm kind of losing my place. For times when you get angry, try to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Can you work out this misunderstanding with the other party? Will you learn more about yourself or your own faults? Be sure to also express the anger in a constructive manner, making sure your anger energy, pushing that into exercise, cleaning your house, for instance. I will clean a lot if I'm angry too, but that goes along with the OCD. But there was something I was going to say about yes. If you can, with my personal experience with negative thoughts, it has in the past sent me into a, she says, I need a cabin, 40 acres in the backwoods with my oils and my dog. Sometimes the negative thoughts can send me into a depression if you're anything like me. And so just if I can get that mindset back of like, tomorrow's a new day, no matter whatever, I try to start fresh from that next moment. But sometimes it's like, it feels like it's ruined your whole day. But just thinking about, okay, tomorrow is completely fresh. It's completely new. I can hold on till tomorrow. Anyway, that's just been my personal experience as far as a routine of learning. Yes, Jamae, affirmations are amazing. I think Angie's going to do a class on that soon, hopefully. Hopefully I can get her to share it with all of us. But affirmations are amazing. They do help incredibly. So working on accepting yourself for increased health and happiness. Whether you're facing health challenges, want to manifest healing, or simply want to increase your well-being, having those positive emotions in your best interest. To a large extent, being happy is a choice. We need to make much like choosing an exercise or to eat right. Happiness comes from within. It's not dictated by circumstance alone. So this is why if you truly want to be happy, you need to work on yourself first. The health benefits that we mentioned, like a significantly reduced risk of heart attack, other cardiac events, or the ability to help your body heal, should provide ample motivation for doing so. There was a study that I read too. I was going to go into it tonight, but it was really long. It was talking about how, they were doing a placebo effect with a cancer drug. And I don't know how all that works, but a study on a pill. And so, of course, when you're in those types of studies, they don't tell you who gets the placebo and who doesn't. Hold on. I'll get back to you, Rachel. And so, and some of the people weren't told exactly what the pill was for, or something like that. But what it boiled down to was the people who were positive, even though they were struggling with cancer, responded to things better, or like, for example, do you have anybody in your life who maybe their health is like all poo-poo? Maybe they smoke a pack or two a day and do drink alcohol or whatever, and they eat terribly, but yet they're older and they're happy and they're still kicking it. I mean, our mindset and our emotions have a lot to do with our health. And that's even going back to what Gary said. He said a lot of people, if they won't work on their emotions, I can't fully help them. So it's that important. In a survey, 5,000 people by the Charity Action of Happiness, people were asked to rate themselves between 1 and 10 on habits that are significantly linked to happiness. While all 10 habits were strongly linked to overall life satisfaction, acceptance, that's another oil to put on your list, was the strongest predictor. And all the survey results and the following 10 keys to happier living, which together spell out the acronym GREAT DREAM. So we're going to go over those, and then I'm going to close for the night. Jamae says, huffing believe in frankincense helps. And then Rachel, Common Sense Blend from Young Living has done miracles. It helps slow my responses and clears my thinking. Yes, it's an amazing oil. Common Sense too. I have a few I need to order that I haven't ordered in a while. So we're going to go over these 10 things. Giving is one. Doing things for others. Relating, connecting with people. Exercising, taking care of your body. Appreciating, noticing the world around you. Trying out things, keep learning new things is really big. Direction, having goals to look forward to. Resilience, find ways to bounce back. Emotion, take a positive approach. Acceptance, being comfortable with who you are. And meaning, being a part of something bigger, which that's what we're all about in our group, in our community. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, ladies. I hope you guys share this with your groups. And if they have any questions or anything, I will be here to answer them. And we will see you back here next Monday. Let me just close it. Bye, guys.